That's
You know there
why
used to
all
be
you're
more
doing.
Jews in
That's
Ukraine.
why all you're doing is looking at photographs of black sons and going, "Oh, blah, 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 we can't help these. Blah, 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 they got the blah, blah, blah." That's why.
Okay.
That's all you've got. You have nothing.
So,
I just wanted to.
Nazi
I just wanted to ask you.
collaborators.
So November 25th, 1940, when Stalin asked to join the Axis powers, was that just a meme or what?
Oh my God.
Nationalism doesn't inevitably make you a Nazi, right? Like,
Yeah, it does.
and that's why I would ask you.
Yeah,
Wait,
kind of
nationalism inevitably
Ultranationalism.
makes nationalism. Does nationalism inevitably make you a Nazi? You just said yes, it does.
They both have the same basis of belief.
Hello.
Hello, you could hear me?
Why do I recognize your voice?
Oh, because I debated you and kicked your ass before.
Okay. How are you doing?
Okay, so you said a few funny things about the Azov guys. You wanna First of all, I want to know what was the process of Azov being mellowed out by joining the National Guard of Ukraine?
Because Beletsky, the big Nazi dude who founded them, fucked off.
Okay, that's
They
just
were-
one guy.
They had.
And what year? What year
Excuse
would you
me.
say
Hey,
that is?
wait. You are very excited. Do you want to?
Oh, I just want to know what year you think this happened. And
What?
okay, go ahead. What year do you think that happened?
When did Beletsky leave Azov?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one that's pinning this whole thing on one guy. So I
I'm
want to
not.
know when.
Excuse me. You asked me. Wait. Are you okay?
No.
How's
Well,
How's your blood pressure? Can you take some deep breaths?
Okay, so you're just going to do this instead of answering the question.
I'm
Are
just-
you going?
I'm just trying to. You asked me a question about why do I think Azov is not as Nazi as they used to be, right?
Well, no, you said they're not
And I'm
Nazis. They
beginning
mellowed
my
out.
answer, and then I name one guy as the first part of my answer, and you say, "Oh,
Okay,
that's just
finish.
one
Okay, my
guy,
bad.
bruh."
No, I just wanted to know what year he left mostly. But go ahead.
What
finish
year he
your-
left the Azov battalion?
I have no idea. You tell me.
I don't know exactly. I thought it was somewhere between 2014 and
You laughed in the
16,
face of
17.
your last
I can't remember
interlocutor on this
exactly,
issue.
but he's not there anymore,
Okay.
right?
That doesn't sound right for reform. First of all, you saying so 2017 is the last time Azov were Nazis? Is that what you're saying? I don't get it. So this one guy
It looks
determined
like
the whole
at-
ideology
It
of
looks like
Azov?
at most, Azov were about 20% of them at most seem to have been Nazis. Like a couple of hundred.
Okay,
of them.
okay. First of all, that sounds ridiculous. If you join a Nazi organization with a wolf single and a black sun, you're a Nazi. There's no 20%.
Nah,
if you join
I
an
don't- nah,
organization,
nah,
no.
nah.
Let me finish this.
Okay,
If
go
you
on.
join in an organization, even if you don't exactly agree 100% with it, you join it. When you join it, you are still supporting its ideology and
Okay,
its
so
goals.
hypothetically, you are in Mariupol. There's a civil war being fomented by, with Putin's little green men. You want to
Well,
fight
it
against
wasn't
them.
only okay.
You
First of all,
want
that's
to
a
fight
shitty
excuse
narrative
me,
already.
You want to fight against them, okay? Let's just say you're like a liberal, okay? And the only group that's in your area that you can fight against them with is Azov. Do you just say, nah, fuck that? I'm just gonna fuck off. Like what?
Yeah, what the fuck? Why would I join a bunch of Nazis?
Because
What
not
the
all of them
fuck?
are. Because not all of them are Nazis. Because when
Oh
people
my god.
are being,
Okay. Let me just put this
when
to
people
rest.
when people are being attacked, when they're being invaded, when their homes are being attacked, and when their cities are being bombed, then yeah, you don't really get to sit there and fucking purity test the army or the battalion that you joined.
do. Yeah, you do. Okay, so
You
let me
fought in
let
many
me put it.
wars.
No, but
Huh.
first of all,
Why did I guess?
First of all, no shit. I didn't fight in wars. Neither did you. But
That's
let's
why
put
I'm
this-
not the one purity testing the people who are fighting for their fucking freedom.
Dude, this isn't a purity test.
It is a purity test. What about joining the Azov battalion to fight against a Russian invasion automatically turns you into a Nazi?
I don't know. Do you think a group that has these kind of summer camps are only 20% Nazis? This is from The Guardian. I posted it in your Twitch chat.
I've seen the summer camps, yeah. Do you see how the only thing that you can grasp to is like aesthetics? Because
aesthetics,
this is not,
you mean a summer camp to indoctrinate children into a Nazi ideology is
Because
aesthetics to you?
you think,
this is
like, I don't know why you are like following
no.
this line.
Tell me why you think this is aesthetics. why do you think going to a summer camp that teaches you how to be a Nazi
Because
is
if this was a
aesthetic?
parallel, because I know you like to do the Banderite shit. If this was a parallel to somewhere like World War
Because the
II,
general of the
if
Ukrainian army is a
if
Banderite.
this was a parallel to what you're talking about with World War II, you would have a point, because that would mean arming the Ukrainians means arming Azov, and then like these groups would be doing like basically engaging in fucking pogroms. But if the Nazi
I mean,
contingent
they
in
trace
Ukraine,
their
if
history
the
back to the
Nazi
guys who did
contingent in Ukraine is as strong as you insist that it is, then where is this happening? There are still a third of a million Jews living in Ukraine. Where are the
what
anti-Semitic
happened?
pogroms? Where are the like burning of fucking synagogues happening all over the place? Where are
Oh, by the way, what
where's like
happened
the
to
ethnic
the
cleansing
other like?
of non-Ukrainians by Ukrainian military forces? That's
You know, there
why
used to
all
be
you're
more
doing.
Jews in
That's
Ukraine.
why all you're doing is looking at photographs of black sons and going, oh, blah, 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 we can't help this. Blah, 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 they got the blah, blah, blah. That's why.
Okay.
That's all you've got. You have nothing.
So do you think it's good to join the Taliban to fight against America?
The Taliban
Should
is
I
the
join
entire.
the Taliban?
Do you wait? The Taliban is not like a contingent of the Afghan like resistance. That was the Taliban was the main thing. If the Azov battalion
I'll
was
give you a
the
better one.
entire
I'll give you
Ukrainian
can I
army,
give you a better
you would have
example?
a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, the general of the Ukrainian army is an open Banderite. I sent you an article where he went on Twitter on the anniversary of Bandera's birthday and celebrated it. There are pictures of him. If you Google the general of the Ukrainian army of him,
there are pictures
standing next to UPA flag, standing next to other Banderites. So you can't say that, oh, it's only just a small contingency in the Ukrainian army that are Nazis. No, the general of the Ukrainian army is an open Banderite.
Do you think
so
wait, I know this is like really difficult for you, but do you
no,
like, I know you I understand that you think
if David
I'd let you finish
if
your
a Nazi
sentence.
was the general of the American army, what would you think?
I let you finish your sentence.
This is ridiculous. You wouldn't say this for like ISIS or Al Qaeda. If the anti-Assad government, anti-Assad rebels, some of them were Al Qaeda affiliated. Do you think that was good to join those?
Let's give you an analogy. Okay, here we go.
I just gave you an analogy.
Are you pro-Palestine?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say, do you know who Marwan Barghouti is?
No, I'm not really familiar.
That's okay. We can't all be experts.
Palestine.
But let's say Barghouti is basically like a secular guy from FETA who led the first and second Intifada. He's in jail right now because he killed some people. He has since become very like a lot more popular. He's actually more popular than the Hamas and Abbas. He's more popular than both of those leaders, but he's in jail, so he can't run for office. He's quite secular, quite nationalist. Is against killing civilians. Let's say the Palestinians rally around this fairly secular, fairly progressive like leader who is against killing civilians. Let's say they rally around him, and there might be actually a good case to arm Palestine against the Israeli occupation. Would you be opposed to it if it turned out that 10% or 20% of that resistance was still involved with Hamas?
How are they? First of all, none of what you said makes sense. So the secular guy, so everybody rallies behind the secular guy.
Like it's like the Zelensky parallel, right? Because Zelensky, as far as we know, is not a Nazi.
No, it's not. First of all, Zelensky is just a corrupt asshole. He ran as a peace candidate. Like, whatever. Your analogy, I'm trying to understand your analogy right now. So does this guy represent like an organization or something, or is this just one single guy?
He's
what are you talking? Like, I don't understand what you're saying.
He's from FETA.
Because we're talking. Okay, we're talking about okay, but I don't understand. I don't know all the groups in Palestine.
And PA actually have a very strong historical connection to anti-Semitic attacks in the region. So you can make the same analogy there as well.
Okay. First of all, the anti-Semitism in Palestine is different than European anti-Semitism. Because you know that Muslims were cool with Jews and Christians up until the British and the French came in.
Wait, stop
for a fucking
second. Did you really just say that Arabs were fine with Jews before the British Mandate?
Generally, yes. Muslims were cool with Jews and Christians.
The Hebron massacre, where they were in the 1920s, where there were fucking riots. This was commonplace. The Ottoman Empire, where Jews were second-class citizens. What the fuck is wrong? You don't know anything. Bro,
Yeah,
you're
I
a
do.
fucking
You
mouse
want
in
to
a
talk?
maze. You're just,
What are you
that's why
talking
all you
about?
got is looking at
What
fucking
is that?
pictures of
What?
black suns with a fucking little magnifying glass because you have
Holy
no
shit!
policy position. You
You
have
don't know
nothing to
early
extrapolate.
Islamic history, bro. You don't know early Islamic history. Then are you
Do you think Jews
comparing
were
the
not
any?
second-class citizens in the Ottoman Empire?
It's completely different than what Jews were in Europe. You're talking about attacks on non-Muslims, which is part of the Quran, versus the anti-Semitism that was experienced by Jews in Europe. Jews had like a golden age, I believe, in Umayyad Spain during
It's
like
pretty
the
far
Middle
from the Middle
Ages,
East, but okay.
but that was under Muslim control
They were
until
also
the
treated fairly well in
Reconquista.
Iran. That doesn't take away from how they were treated in Palestine and the Fertile Crescent.
I'm telling you the history of anti-Semitism in
Do
Arabia,
you
the
think
Middle
Jews who get
East,
chased
is
out of their
different.
villages and towns care about the nature of the anti-Semitism that did it to them?
No, because you're making these comparisons that don't make sense. And I'm trying to understand your comparisons, and it's just not
Bro,
making
you're not
any
trying
sense.
to understand shit. You're coming in here
I
to
am.
fucking jizz over black sun. Okay, let's bring you back
I'm
to the black
coming
sun.
here.
Okay, look, look.
I'm coming here trying to understand how somebody could be okay with Nazism in the 21st century.
Why do you think
Somebody
I'm,
who
wait,
could-
wait, 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 why do you think I'm okay with Nazism in the 20th century? What policy am I
You
supporting
are.
that is
You are
pro-Nazism in the 21st
supporting.
century?
You're defending Azov right now. You're saying that the general of the Ukrainian army being an open banderite is completely okay. It doesn't have any wider consequences.
Okay, let's say I had to
to the
choose.
sh-
Let's say I had to choose whether or not the Ukrainian general was a banderite or isn't. Would I say I'd rather he was or wasn't?
He is. It was a fact.
And
This
the
is a
fact is
fact.
that, and if I say I'd rather he wasn't, I'm not
What do you
saying
think the
I'm not saying
internal
the world is
structures
perfect.
are for a banderite to become the general?
Okay, wait. Here's the. I just need to ask. So, okay, this is obviously over whether or not we arm Ukraine to help them against Russia, right? That's the only extrapolation you can
Wait,
bring from this
what?
argument.
No, well, since
We both oppose
we're
Nazis.
outside
We
of
both wish there
okay.
would be less Nazis in Ukraine. But the
Okay.
question is whether or not the fact that there are some Nazis or some like problematic.
It's not some Nazis.
Okay,
we could talk about
it's
all
loads
the
of Nazis.
statues.
Okay, it's loads of
dedicated to UPA
statues.
members.
Yeah,
OUN
UPA statues.
members.
UPA statues everywhere. Okay, they all love Nazis. They're all Zeke Heiling. It's whether or not
This is the normalization of far-right ideas. This also happens in Poland and the Baltic states, where they do Holocaust revisionism to rehabilitate their World War II Nazi collaborators. In Poland, it is illegal to talk about their collaboration in World War II with the Nazis.
The question is whether or not it's acceptable to either leave them to get rolled over by Russia
I know
or
you're
to
like
help
20
them.
years old, but like this is kind of messed up what you're doing. You know that, right?
Can you answer that question? Why not just have the question about whether or not
Why would we help somebody on the other side of the world? I mean, on my end, I'm American. You sound British, so maybe you could justify it more because you're on the same continent, but I'm on a different continent.
Well, I think
why does that have to do anything
as an
with
international community, the precedent of letting a country annex territory and invade a country is a pretty bad.
Going on for centuries.
It's a pretty bad precedent to set. And now that we've actually had a relatively peaceful last 3 decades
so
in Europe,
specific to annex part of a country is bad, but occupying countries for 20 years is fine. Like,
when did I say occupying for 20 years is fine?
Because you're supporting the same imperial structures that occupied Iraq for 20 years, Afghanistan for 20 years. What do you think is going to happen to Ukraine after this war? It's going to be indebted to the West for like generations.
You think Ukraine? So like, okay. Would Ukrainians rather? Would Ukraine? Wait.
At best, this is an inter-imperialist war.
Why is it so difficult for you to finish a sentence and have like a back and forth dialogue? Do you think the average Ukrainian would rather be invaded by Russia or indebted to the West for helping them against the invasion of Russia? Ukrainians are asking for help.
I don't know, and I don't know, and that's not
you
for
do
me
know.
to
You know that most Ukrainians are wanting to be assisted by the West.
Because I have the unfortunate effect of not being. You don't understand their language because you don't speak Russian
83% of Ukrainians want NATO membership.
Okay, you're just citing a poll. You're not. I've seen
what the
so
fuck
many
are you citing? Black flag pictures.
I'm citing what it was before the war. people didn't really give a shit about like language rights and shit like that before or anything. People just wanted to live in peace. So to them, it's probably whatever gets them to live in peace again the fastest. So what's your point? Like, it's not about fighting to get Crimea for some of these people. It's about like, hey, I don't want to live in a war zone anymore. And you could probably find polls where it shows support for the war is more in Western Ukraine than in Eastern Ukraine, where the war is actually fought. So like, it's weird where like people in the West think that Ukrainians all want to fight till they get Crimea back. It's not like really true.
Seems to be the consensus, yeah. Or at least, well, it's not just Crimea, right? It's Lugansk, Donetsk.
It's
Luhansk. Zaporizhia.
You're on the Ukrainian side. It's Luhansk, not Lugansk.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Again, aesthetics. You love aesthetics because you actually have
no,
no
it's not
substance
aesthetics.
It's completely aesthetic. Shut the fuck up.
You're just calling this shit aesthetics because you don't understand it.
So do you think okay, you're in charge of, like, I don't know, the Western countries, even Ukraine. Fuck it, you get all. What should be happening right now?
In Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in charge of Ukraine like Zelensky. It would probably be trying to sign those Minsk agreements and so that Ukraine could become a federal republic.
The Minsk agreements were violated on both sides. No one gave a fuck about the Minsk agreements because there were Russian troops in the country for the entire time. You can't have a ceasefire while there are Russian troops in your country. No. The Minsk Accords didn't work. No one gave a fuck about the Minsk Accords.
Was changed. One of the Minsk Accords, Minsk agreements, whatever it was called, main points was that Ukraine would be turned into a federal republic, giving more autonomy to the eastern and southern regions of the country, which would render the country neutral because the western side of Ukraine wants more to be closer to the west, while the eastern, more industrial parts of Ukraine who still export to Russia and whose jobs rely on exporting to Russia would prefer to be neutral or even closer in some cases, but I'm pretty sure that's like edge cases. I'm pretty sure for the most part, people wanted to be neutral.
And again, those accords were violated repeatedly on both sides. They did not work. I don't know. You can keep telling me why you think they're a good idea.
Okay, there's also videos of Zelensky going to these nationalist battalions that were doing the majority of fighting.
Okay.
In the East, trying to stop these guys, to disarm these guys, and they weren't respecting him. They weren't listening to him. It was an open secret that Zelensky couldn't control these nationalist battalions in the East for a while. Like, you could say whatever you want. Zelensky started his political career as a pro-peace candidate, native Russian speaker.
So you did half the story there. Minsk Accords were broken on both sides.
Yeah, I know.
Because the Russian Green Men never left. They never left Eastern Ukraine between 2014 and
there were
Putin
volunteer
admitted
battalions.
this himself.
You could overstate it as much as you want.
What did I overstate?
At the end of the day,
what did I overstate?
The involvement of Russia in the Donbass region.
Do you deny that they were there between 2014 and 2022?
I don't deny that they were there, but
that's all I said. What did I overstate?
Okay, because you're not.
So I didn't overstate anything. Okay, go on, next point.
Yes. Okay. No, you are overstating it.
What did I overstate?
By focusing on what Russia did.
I said that you said what Zelensky said. No, you said what Zelensky did. And I said you told half the story because the Minsk Accords were broken on both sides.
You're going.
I was finishing off from what you were saying. I was finishing you off.
No, you were bringing another point by. I'm saying this was mostly a civil war before the official Russia invasion in 2022. You keep incorporating Russia in this conflict and making Ukraine a proxy in this conflict, but you're not including what America and the West has been doing since 2014. They have been training these nationalist battalions, and you can't even deny this because your boy Vash somehow got an interview with a NATO officer who admitted that he trained regular Ukrainian troops before the invasion, which I believe is what the fuck. You could look at that interview later if you guys want, but he interviewed a NATO officer who said he trained regular Ukrainian troops before
What?
2022, which
yeah,
would make
because when there was
Ukraine
a civil war
proxy.
happening, when Ukraine had Russian troops in their territory, yeah, of course, yeah. What's wrong with that?
So you
what's wrong with getting help when a country is taking part in a civil war?
Okay. See, this is the framing I'm talking about. In your case, Russia is the mastermind of those rebels in the Donbass area.
I mean, Putin admitted
Ukraine
that. Okay.
is going to help, going to asking for help from the West, when in reality, it's just as much of a puppet of the West as those Donbass separatists are of Russia. So
you think
that's what I'm talking about. Your framing is very.
You think Ukraine asking for help is the same as them being puppets?
Do you think Russian separatists
moving their troops in against Ukraine's will? You think this is the same level?
How do you know? How do you know it's against the will of the people of Donbass? How do you know they're not asking for help from Russia?
You think there was a majority of people in the Donbass who wanted?
I think there are very strong ties to Russia, and it wouldn't surprise me that some of these people.
You think the majority of people in eastern Ukraine wanted Russian troops to fight in their territory?
I don't know.
I feel like it's something.
What the majority?
What kind of international relations are we where some people want to be aligned with Russia, then it's okay to send troops? Like you know how Scotland wants to be aligned with the European Union right now. Does that mean the European Union can send troops into Scotland?
Okay, you're not even being consistent with your arguments here, because you're against the annexation of Crimea by Russia, even though majority of Crimeans want to be part of Russia.
That's what I just said. Majority of Scottish people want to be part of the EU. That doesn't mean that the EU can send troops into Scotland to fucking annex us. So yeah, of course. That's why your argument about people in the Donbass wanting to be aligned with Russia, that doesn't mean Russia gets to send in fucking troops.
Okay.
I'm completely consistent on that.
Okay, so then we could go back a little bit further, because now we're going to get to the Euromaidan. So since you don't believe that's a coup.
This is where you fucked up with the phone call last time. How's that been going?
No, I didn't, because that.
You think the phone call proves a coup?
No, the phone call.
You said that last time.
Something.
What does it indicate?
Oh my God, it's not the totality. You fucking idiots all focus on one thing instead of the totality.
Well, no, I know you want me to see that. You're saying I can't see the forest for the trees, but I'm just going to demonstrate how, like, we observe when we get a bit closer to look at least one or two trees, and we find out that they're actually just like plastic trees.
No, we could talk about Yats. We could talk about Yatsenyuk. I think that's his name.
Yatsenyuk.
Yeah, Yatsenyuk. Why did he take out IMF loans? What does that indicate about
they were a country that wanted to align with the West on majority? Yeah, what?
Do you not understand what an IMF loan is? What it indicates?
Yeah, it's when the West imperializes you and like.
Are you being sarcastic or are you?
Yeah, I mean,
are
like,
you being?
Countries like
you
countries
understand the
agree
predatory nature? No, you understand the predatory nature of an IMF loan.
Yeah.
So why would you take it out?
Is it any less predatory than a Russian loan? You're a country like you're a fledgling.
Okay, but nobody's asking for Russian loans. Why did he take out why an IMF loan?
Well, no, Yanukovych wanted Russia's loan.
This is
so okay.
You're just bringing up shit
in a parliamentary democracy,
as bullet points.
So
it wasn't a parliamentary democracy. This was the interim prime minister. He wasn't elected.
Yes, he was. He was voted for.
No, he was the interim prime minister, bro.
Yeah, so the people.
Klitschko was the favorite of the Euromaidan protester. He wasn't in government because he's not the guy. Yats is the guy, bro.
Yatsenyuk was the leader of the opposition. He was the leader of the opposition
he wasn't the only leader. Klitschko was the more popular one. You could look this up. I could cite you a book right now it's called Ukraine in the Crossfire or something that talks about this. Is it Ukraine? Yeah, I think. Is it Ukraine in the Crossfire I don't remember this guy. Chris Casper. I'm trying. Because it's pretty hard to like remember things off the cuff, like shit like this. Yeah, and also somebody's like, "Yo, you're citing a book." Yeah, this is like an academic.
You laughed in the face of your last interlocutor on this.
Is it an academic book?
I even cited a guy who is who's been investigating the Maidan massacre for the last 8 years in your chat, Ivan Konchanovsky, and he thinks the Euromaidan was a coup.
Yeah,
so like
the report that isn't peer reviewed that just has him collecting a bunch of like blurry photos. Yeah, I've seen like this is one guy who didn't even get peer reviewed and just got
he's not just
blasted
one
by
guy.
fucking like the Russian
There
state
was
media.
there was the other guy I cited to you that wrote a really in-depth book about the life of Bandera and his influence on the Ukrainian diaspora and subsequently the new Ukrainian nation post 91.
I don't care, but like
okay, yeah, of course you wouldn't care.
Just to bring you back to Yatsenyuk, the leader of the opposition. He was the leader of the opposition party. That's why he became prime minister after Yanukovych fled. He was voted in, and he made the decision to take
by who?
a
It
loan.
was the interim government. Bro, you keep saying voted in. Keep pretending it's like it was a democratic vote, but who?
So
who voted for Yats?
He wasn't he appointed by the parliament? He was majority by the rest of the parliament, the Rada.
Okay.
Because that's what elected represent. Because when your leader flees the country because he fucked himself by getting the police. They did hold an election afterwards.
Yeah, and they elected a pretty hardcore nationalist, Poroshenko. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so we're pro elections, or are we against them?
Oh no, Ukraine is a very corrupt country. Those elections they're about as fair as Russian elections or like Romanian elections.
So Yatsenyuk.
Like, I'm not defending any of these people. I'm not pro any of these people. I just want to specify, like, all of these people are corrupt pieces of shit.
So Yatsenyuk had a mandate because the former president fled the country after he had got his fucking police guys to fire on protesters. And
that was after.
What's wrong with doing that?
The leader of the right sector said he wouldn't accept any agreement by the current government. You know that, right?
So you think the right sector was in charge of the Maidan?
Yeah, I think they were a pretty influential group in Maidan.
Why is it so hard?
I mean, the general of Ukrainian army had him as had the leader of right sector as his military advisor at some point.
Yeah, that must be why they've dominated the elections ever since.
Oh my god, you don't need to run fucking elections if you have so many people in your fucking army or in your police.
Well, but they ran elections and they didn't get the votes.
They don't, because it's not popular. I'm not saying that any of these things, any of these people or this ideology is popular. I'm saying that they have a lot of power and influence, especially for their size. This, like, Jesus, man.
I just wonder, when you have a nation where the majority of them want to lean more towards the West, like with the European deal as opposed to the Eurasian customs, when the president denies them that, flips on them after making a pretty strong statement that he was going to go the European way, then basically throws in like a bunch of anti-protest laws that effectively ban protesting and give immunity to the police when they kill protesters and to civilians as well. Why do you think it's so unthinkable that people would get angry and rise up against that?
Oh, there's nothing wrong.
You don't believe in a people's revolution?
Protest. Oh my God, dude, you don't understand the. First of all, okay, where to start with this? First of all, the main people who were first, just because people have an uprising doesn't mean they're not. It's not a reactionary uprising or anything like that. Right wingers protest all the time. Doesn't mean you support a people's that's not a people's uprising. You wouldn't call that a people's uprising.
But your only indication that what's your indication that the right wingers dominated this uprising?
My indication that they had an oversized influence in the post-Maidan government and in the protests is that they were the ones that were starting all the fights there. I believe the sniper fire potentially being a false flag.
This is all
making me
your
remember
Ivan,
so
like,
much shit.
yeah, this is
No,
your
this is
Ivan, like,
no,
iPhone picture, blurry,
this
Where's
isn't
Waldo
only
pictures.
Ivan, by the way. This isn't only him, by the way.
Who else was
There's
it?
a word. Let me see. John Paul Himka. He's the one that discovered that Chrystia Friedland's grandfather was a Nazi collaborator.
Okay.
A very, very good historian for Ukrainian history,
Because
especially in the development of the Ukrainian national
So-
identity that you, for some reason, are okay with, like the Western Ukrainian national identity that you're okay with today.
Well,
That's
I'm
what
okay with
he
them
actually.
insofar as they're defending themselves against a foreign invader. Yeah,
Just
sure.
because, bro, just because
I don't think
somebody.
just because
Okay,
you're
okay,
right
I'll
wing,
give you
you
a good
deserve to get
example.
helped
I'll
against
give
an
you a good
invasion.
example. Do you know the Polish Second Republic was just about as anti-Semitic as Germany was at the time.
Okay.
The OUN was born because of the oppression the Ukrainians faced during the Polish Second Republic. The nationalist government of the Polish Second Republic was terrible. I don't just because they were defending themselves against the Nazis at the time doesn't mean they were the good guys, you know?
Yeah.
Stalin coming in and taking East Poland was probably better for the people there in the long run than the Polish Second Republic. That's how.
Wow.
Do you disagree? Because of reaction, a people's government, or as close as you could get to at that time, being the Bolsheviks, is better living. It's better to live under the Bolsheviks as a Polish Jew.
It was that old. What did we say about Nazi collaborators? I guess it's probably it's all right when when the USSR literally collaborates with the Nazis to break up a country together.
Wait,
I thought we had no. I thought we were all uppity about Nazis.
Oh
Yes,
my God,
they
dude,
literally broke up the country together.
This is just Holocaust
They literally
revisionism at this
fuck
point.
you, mate. They literally
Oh
broke
my
up.
God,
They
no.
exchanged prisoners. The fucking Soviets gave like people who fled from the KPD back to the Nazis. What are you talking? Of course, with fucking collaboration.
Yeah, they had
economic exchanges. They were selling fucking raw materials to each other. Yeah, of
dude,
course. What are you talking about? Of course.
Yeah, Stalin was trying to get as much as possible to prepare for the fucking invasion.
Oh, it was like a tactical allegiance just to prepare to attack the Nazis, right?
No, not to attack the Nazis, because he knew he was going to get attacked by them. Do you not know what the Lebensraum is? It was part of the whole basis of the Nazi ideology was a racial America's racial theory, imported to mix with German national identity, which is why you get like the crazy anti-Semitism levied against the Jews by the Nazis. Like the extermination of them was the extermination of the Jews and the Slavs and all the people that lived in Eastern Europe. To them, to the Nazis, was like America conquering the West. Like, do you not understand that?
Yeah, I guess it's probably a bad idea for Russia to be giving like raw materials to the Germans. It's probably a bad idea for that.
Like, these people cannot be allies, and you just, holy shit, you're fucking stupid.
But
bro.
no,
like,
but
you do not understand. You do not understand the ideology of Nazism. Yet you probably use that comparison and call people Nazis all the time.
Do you think that it was inevitable that just because Hitler hated Slavs, he was going to fucking commit suicide by trying to attack the Soviet Union?
Yes, because
okay. And the only
my God,
the tactical breaking up of a country.
Oh my God, there's an amazing book by Adam Tooze called "The Wages of Destruction" that outlines Germany's economic history from throughout the Nazi period, and he states from the very beginning, because Germany was dependent on importing of raw resources like iron and grain, that it was always dependent on the West, not the West, but like America, Britain, and France, and the Soviet Union, and that it was always going to be dominated by them. And Hitler wanted his own. He wanted the German people to be on top, to be its own hegemony, its own great power, and not just a middling economy. Like you have to understand that Germany wasn't as rich as France and Britain and America at that time. They were still poor. They were like a middling economy, and they were reaching like the end of its capitalist expansion because there was nowhere else to go. Like Britain had colonies, France had colonies, America had colonies, and so Hitler, by the logic of capitalism and what he saw other countries doing, he figured that he could take Eastern Europe and apply the same logic that these other colonial powers did to make Germany like a great power, unequal to the British, to the French, and to the Americans. It was inevitable for Hitler to invade Eastern Europe because he needed the raw resources and he needed the living space for German agriculture to bloom and blossom, or whatever you want to call it. And he also needed oil from the Caucasus because that's also another thing he was dependent on. So yes, like the goal of Nazism was to expand and create a greater Germany. Like whether you think it was illogical, it was stupid. And like Adam Tooze goes through it in very nice detail, explaining how stupid it was. But that was the logic behind it. It was the same logic the British, the French, and the Americans used to expand their empires.
So we're really far from the point now. I just got a couple of questions.
Yeah, but you brought it up.
Do you?
You keep bringing up stupid points, and I have to go into this.
Well, you just seem it's just
funny
how
why
your sympathy.
You're fucking stupid,
it's just funny
and
how
it's
like your sympathy
fucking annoying. Like you don't know
Nazi
anything,
collaborators.
And you just keep bringing all this shit up.
It's just funny
bro.
that your sympathy for Nazi collaborators seems to take a very big jump when it comes to Soviets.
You're literally supporting the people
I'm
who
just
are
asking you. I just wanted to ask you.
Just...
So November 25th, 1940, when Stalin asked to join the Axis powers, was that just a meme or what?
Oh my God. 1940, bro. Hitler had plans to invade Germany. I mean, to invade the Soviet Union since 1939.
So when Stalin
Holy
asked,
shit, he was buying time. How do you not understand
You know the fake
this?
laughter isn't getting you anywhere. I just want to ask you, when Stalin wrote a draft to propose to join the Axis powers, was he memeing or what? Just want to know. Like,
he was probably buying time like he was before. Holy shit, dude. Like,
so
this is
helping
a historical
the Nazis
fact.
economically,
I don't even know why I'm
transferring,
like, trying to entertain you on this.
Okay, so just to be clear then, helping the Nazis economically, transferring prisoners over to the Nazis,
Germany
helping the
also
Nazis break up Poland together, asking to join the Axis powers, all those things were just all like strategy, right? Memeing, trolling.
Okay, so what do you think of the... Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What do you think about the Baltic states being under Stalin's control, inviting the Germans in as liberators? Or like the UPA? How do you see that?
I think when you're being occupied and you're people who oppose the occupation are being put into fucking like prisons just as political prisoners or getting lined up and executed, then yeah, there's a very educated population. They're probably going to be desperate. Yeah, of course. That what would you?
Okay, so
you know, like the Nazis and the Soviets used the same prison spaces. They used exactly the same facilities in the Baltic states, going back and forth because their approach to political prisoners was basically the same.
You think Jews were political prisoners?
Can you stick to the point? Wait. Why does that?
No, you're compare. I just wanted to give you an easy out, and you just did the typical double genocide theory.
I'm just asking.
I was trying to explain
they used the same prison facilities for their political prisoners, the Nazis and the Soviets.
Okay, but what does that?
It makes perfect sense that the people living under that occupation who don't have that much education would probably feel duped or like feel desperate enough to want to try and get out of that by any means.
Okay, but you see how you're excusing these people for doing the Holocaust, but
when did I excuse them from doing the Holocaust?
Just now, because the people you're saying that were stupid and being duped, they did the Holocaust. Those were the people that went out and killed or rounded up Jews.
I'm
Those
not
were
talking.
the
Wait,
police
who do you think
in
I'm
those
talking about? I'm not talking about the
the Baltic
collaborators.
people.
I'm not talking about the collaborators who took part. I'm just talking about like the average people who lived there, who lived under Soviet occupation.
How do you know what the average person thinks? We only know what the collaborators thought and what like people who were who you don't actually know
We-
what the average person
We know that
like,
we know that the people living there
Denial box again,
were-
SMH.
no,
did
because you
believe
don't know.
that the Nazis were going to liberate them. Yeah, that was a common thing. Do you deny that? That people in the Baltic states?
I think some of the people, the nationalists, the people who were who had a strong
The
national identity.
the people who don't like being fucked by the Soviet Union. Yeah.
No, nationalists, the ones that did the Holocaust, were pro-German. Most people would have probably been neutral. Like, yeah, I don't think you understand that.
Neutral
like, maybe,
observers of Soviet occupation.
yeah, people who want to go on with their lives like it was before. It's not uncommon for people who become occupied by different countries who would just like accept the occupation and just try to live out their normal lives.
Dude, no. Wait. People who are under occupation typically don't want to be under occupation. And sometimes those
It
people,
depends. It
regardless
really
of whether or
depends.
not they're nationalists or
political.
anti-Semitic, might find themselves in
Yes.
positions where they are
People who
desperate
have
enough
strong-
to accept any like
I'm
to accept
telling you,
anything that might end the occupation they're
people
currently
who-
under.
People who would have a strong feeling about people who would have a strong feeling about the Soviet occupation, that would be so strong that they would see the Germans as the liberators, were to people that were doing the Holocaust. People who just wanted to go on and try to live their normal lives did not side with one or the other openly.
So my understanding
It's like,
of the Baltics is that
right
when
now,
is
it's
that
now,
when
like,
people
can I just finish? Can I give you a modern day
no,
example?
you've monologued to fuck. Like the problem is that when I think you find it really difficult to understand like just like very basic understandings of human behavior. People who are under the Soviet occupation and they don't like the people that they know.
You're doing
they don't like. They don't. I'm just going to keep talking
like
and we'll see if we
people
get through
yearn
this.
for
Okay.
freedom.
And they don't like the fact that they're being occupied. They get this like false promise that the Germans are going to come in and liberate them. They're probably sold in it for a bit, and then they eventually realize that when the Nazis arrive, they're like fucking killing Jews. They're carrying out the Holocaust, and then they decide that they don't like Nazis either. Like this is not a very like uncommon thing to expect from the average human being. I don't think. Do you think like I don't think everyone who opposed? That's the question though. Is like what like do you think like it was like if you oppose Soviet occupation that had to mean that you wanted to be like a Nazi collaborator?
Am I muted or am I still here?
I never muted you.
Oh shit! I didn't. That you said something. Okay. I think people who are openly against an occupation, like protests and stuff like that, are more likely to be collaborators. I think people who just went on their daily lives complaining about the occupation probably didn't give a shit or just wanted to go on with their lives. They were probably
you think
apolitical.
the average like Latvian who protested against Soviet occupation was going to become a Nazi collaborator?
Yeah, I think there's a bigger chance of that than like a person who just stayed home.
No,
because the Germans occupied Latvia. The Germans occupied Latvia. It's the same.
I know.
What's the difference?
I know.
But why?
That's what I'm asking you.
But they collaborated the whole time, bro.
I'm asking you. I'm not asking you about comparing them to people who just stayed home. I'm asking you about if you think the average person who was opposed to the occupation, just that, was like had a high chance of being a Nazi collaborator.
Yeah, people who protested against the Soviet Union occupation had a higher chance and probably a good chance of being a collaborator with the Nazi regime. That's just the fact.
Just higher than people who just bobbed their heads down. That's not what I'm asking you, though. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay, yeah, I would go as so far as to say they had a high chance of being collaborators if they were very politically active. If they identified as nationalists, yeah.
So my next question is, and again, I think the bit that you maybe sometimes leave out of these stories is that a lot of these nationalists ended up fighting against Nazis as well, right?
Okay, I don't know every nationalist group that fought with the Nazis, and then that I know Ukrainian history a bit more. So I could tell you, even though officially Bandera said that he was against Nazi Germany because they wouldn't give Ukraine independence right away, and he was technically in a concentration camp, even though he was in a VIP section of the
I mean,
concentration
he lost his
camp
brother
with
to Nazis as well,
yeah,
didn't he?
his two brothers went to Auschwitz. Bandera didn't go to Auschwitz. He went to another concentration camp, and I believe there are other fascist political prisoners staying with him. Like I think the Romanian Iron Legion was there and shit like that. I don't remember, or Iron Guard or whatever. The Romanian fascists they shared a cell with him, I think. But the UPA, even though officially they were against both the Nazi occupation and the Soviet occupation, on the ground, more likely than not, the UPA worked with the Nazis to round out the Jews mostly. And then when the Soviets were coming in 43 and 44, they were fighting together against the Soviet invasion. And as the Nazis were retreating, the UPA and all those nationalists, they retreated with the Nazis to avoid being captured by the Soviets. So if you were fighting against an occupation, you wouldn't be retreating with your enemy, right?
So thanks for taking a very long time to indicate that you just didn't listen to a fucking word I said. So clearly you are acknowledging, at least it seems to be the case, that across Eastern Europe, there were nationalist groups who opposed Soviets. Then even some of them who did collaborate with Nazis ended up opposing Nazis afterwards, because nationalism doesn't inevitably make you a Nazi, right? Like, yeah, it does. And that's why I would ask you.
Kind of
nationalism inevitably makes nationalism. Does nationalism inevitably make you a Nazi? You just said yes, it does.
They both have the same basis of belief.
Wait, having the same basis of belief doesn't mean one inevitably becomes the other.
Yeah,
you must see Nazis everywhere. Then no wonder you're fucking coming over these black flags.
You could start as a nationalist and become an ultra nationalist.
Do you know what inevitably means? So I have to say it for a third time.
Oh yeah.
If you think the Scottish National Party is like are like comparable to Nazis?
Okay, buddy. You think
the PLO are nationalists? Are they going to become Nazis one day?
I don't know. Maybe if
what the fuck? That's just. I'm sorry. I have no idea. Why did you go to that? That was the most uncontroversial statement I've ever made in my fucking life, and now it's like, oh well. Actually, when you think about it, nationalists must really.
You're trying to make this. You're trying to be like, oh, not all nationalists are bad, but you're a socialist. You're supposed to be opposed to nationalism, which doesn't make sense. Like. I'm talking about European nationalism, by the way, for people who don't understand it.
Do you don't think? Wait. I just wonder. Like, it's such an obvious thing. Like, do you not think some forms of nationalism can be about can be liberatory or emancipatory? Like, do you just deny that?
Not other than Irish nationalism, any
Palestinian nationalism, Cuban nationalism.
I'm talking about European nationalism. We're talking about. A specific type of Cuban nationalism is completely different.
Well, I'm pretty sure we just acknowledged though that there were Eastern European nationalists who opposed both Soviets and Nazis. That's the case today as well.
But they were reactionary.
When you go into
there were nationalist reactionaries. This is a European type of nationalism.
You can be a nationalist who wants to be like a social democrat. You can be a nationalist liberal. You don't need to be like a reactionary national, unless you probably think they're all reactionaries, right?
Yes, I do think they're all reactionaries. And historically, they were all reactionary.
Social democrats, social fascists is like an accurate prescription?
I mean, it's kind of a meme, but the reason why they're called social fascists is because of the time period this took place in, right at the edge of like the Great Depression and the collapse of the Weimar. So at that point, when a liberal or when a rad lib or a certain person reaches the limit of allowing democracy to flourish, if there's like a threat of a left wing taking over, these liberals, these nationalist liberals or whatever you want to call, will usually go towards the ultra nationalist fascist camp. You know, like the old saying, scratch a liberal, a fascist
Yeah,
bleeds.
it's one of the dumbest,
this
most
isn't
reductive statements I've ever heard in my fucking
I
life.
mean, this,
Like,
yeah,
I
because
don't know, like how much, like how
you're
much,
talking about
how much KPD KPD involvement with Nazis did there have to be for people to realize, well, we're not really that much
there
better
wasn't
here
any
either.
involvement. They were the first ones in concentration camps.
The Prussian Landtag referendum,
You're talking about
the rail strikes,
the KPD.
the beefsteak Nazis. Yeah, what are you talking about?
You're giving me little tiny examples, but the KPD was
trying to dissolve a local parliament because there was an SPD guy there. Communists and Nazis collaborating in order to do that. You know, it's tiny.
Again, you give me a local parliament. Like I don't know the exact specifics of that one. And this is what I'm talking about. You're giving me bullet points. You're not connecting it to a wider.
The beefsteak Nazis, the fact that a lot of the militants from the KPD were like the most likely ones to end up like defecting to Nazis.
Beefsteak Nazis? What are you talking about? Like I don't know the specific example. You have to explain yourself.
Be so learned. You know, it's okay. Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
you're giving.
You see, the thing is, when I don't know a historical fact, you cackle like a fucking like a fucking.
No, because because I know how you're presenting it. You're presenting it as a bullet point. I'm presenting these as a story. Like his history is ultimately a narrative and a story.
I can tell you a story if you want. I just assumed you knew, but I assumed you knew because every time I don't know something that you know about history, you cackle like a fucking maniac and tell me I'm stupid.
Because I don't get
because you're a fucking like I don't know.
I don't get paid for this.
Maybe you're just
insecure.
I don't get paid for
maybe
this. You're just like
you're the one that's getting paid to talk about.
Getting paid doesn't mean I have to know every single historical fact. But
I mean,
I guess you're just like a bit insecure about your intelligence. Like,
no, but you're getting paid to talk about history and politics.
I assumed you knew. So I assumed you knew. I can tell you about it if you want. The beefsteak Nazi was just a name that was given to communists, mostly KPD militants, who defected to join the Nazis. That was
how many of them were there, and where did this take place?
Where did this take place? This was in this was mostly between like late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, and was this regional or was this on the national level of Germany?
It looked like it was. I think it might have been more concentrated in certain areas, but it seemed to be like a national phenomenon. Yeah.
What areas?
What areas was it concentrated in?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So from my memory, I think Bavaria, but it's been a while.
Bavaria, okay. That's it. Was it anything in the north?
I don't know. I think it did. Like, it happened everywhere. Just whether or not it was to like a higher degree than the other.
And they're called beefsteak Nazis?
Yeah.
Why are they called beefsteak Nazis?
Because they're brown on the outside and red on the inside.
That's what they're called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, is this the fabled red brown alliance that everybody's talking about?
Yeah, scratch a liberal and a fascist bleed is completely valid, but otherwise, even though it was like quite a lot of liberal states who fought the Nazis, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. We're going quite a few tangents here.
Oh my God, I'm reading the Wikipedia for this, and it looks bare, bro. Like this is what you and they'll. Oh,
I mean,
God.
I can try and find you the book that I got it from as well if you want.
Yeah, is it by?
Why are you just glancing? Why are you just glancing the Wikipedia and cackling again? Why
I was just curious.
You're just very prejudiced. I don't know. You're very like you got a lot of biases in your. I fucking hate you. Get the fuck out of here, Jesus Christ! My God,
you're so.
When in doubt, it's just like there's just something again. Like I don't mind people being wrong. I don't mind people being smug. Okay, but smug and wrong, holy fuck.